tragedy befell the World Wrestling Federation and all of us. Owen Hart was set to make an entrance from the ceiling, and he fell from the ceiling. And I have the unfortunate responsibility to let everyone know that Owen Hart has died. Owen Hart has tragically died from that accident here tonight.
Okay, this is the Owen Hart death decode. Okay, Owen James Hart was a Canadian professional wrestler who worked for several promotions, including Stampede Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, World Championship Wrestling, and the World Wrestling Federation, which is now known as World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. Okay, so Owen Hart died on May 23rd, 1999 during the WWF Over the Edge pay-per-view event when a rigging malfunction caused him to fall 78 feet from the rafters of the Kemper Arena in Missouri, right? While being lowered into the ring as his character, the Blue Blazer. A quick release clip on his harness failed, sending him plummeting to the mat. He landed on the ring ropes and was thrown into the ring, dying from the blunt force trauma of the fall. The technical issue in the death of Owen Hart, again, was the catastrophic failure of a quick release harness. So I guess I kind of have that in there twice. But again, causing him to fall 78 feet to his death. Yes, Owen Hart was the younger brother of professional wrestler Bret Hart. Both were part of the legendary Hart family of professional wrestlers and had a significant and famous rivalry in the 1990s, feuding in storylines even though they were very close in real life. So this is the decode portion, and it's a semi-basic breakdown. I want you to see what I see and these facts that they give us. You see Owen Hart equals 40 in the language right there, okay? And he died 40 days before his brother Bret's birthday. Okay? Was the younger brother of Bret Hart. Look at that. Reverse reduction cipher, alphabet in reversed. The alphabet reversed, reduced at the 10th letter and beyond. How do you reduce? Well, Q in the alphabet reversed would be the 10th letter if you're going with the alphabet backwards, okay? So 1 plus 0 is 1. So basically it's going to be all single-digit numbers reduced. Reverse reduction, Owen Hart equals 40. Dies 40 days before his brother Bret's birthday. That tragedy in 1999. You see Bret Hart with the July 2nd birthday, Owen Hart's death date, May 23rd. So Owen Hart, born in the 5th month, something has to give because, yes, Bret Hart, the Hitman, was a WWE, then WWF champion, holding the WWF World Heavyweight Championship 5 times. When brother Owen, born in the 5th month. What do you think about Bret Hart being born in 1957 and younger brother Owen Hart again with that 57 birthday, the 5th month and the 7th day. 57. Even Owen equals 57 with the alphabet straight up going forward. Vince McMahon equals 57. Okay? Owner of the WWE. I think he stepped away though recently or whatever, but he still has ties. And you just remember his father, Vince McMahon Sr., with all of the wrestling history. Look at those 57s. This is the event where Owen Hart took the fall. It was actually called Over the Edge. What are the chances of that? Over the Edge equals 183 in the reverse cipher. Bret Hart's birthday. The 183rd day of the year in 1999. Look at that. Look at how it says 5 p.m. prime time. Again, 5-time heavyweight champion Bret Hart. Owen, born in the 5th month. 5 p.m. Maybe you could say that's a coincidence, right? Look at Bret Hart's birthday, July 2nd, 7th month, 2nd day. 7 minus 2 is 5. But Over the Edge equals 183, and his birthday, the 183rd day of the year. Younger brother dies. Over the edge. He falls. A lot of times that's how a fall could happen, right? Stepping over an edge. Isn't that interesting? Look at who's on this kind of like event poster. He was in the main event versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. The show continued. It's The Undertaker. Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon, from my research told me, were special referees for this main event. So even the McMahons, Vince and Shane, were a part of the main event here. The Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. A person whose business is preparing dead bodies for burial or cremation and making arrangements for funerals. So this is all representing the death of Owen Hart. Do you see? Isn't that right in front of your face? It took me all of these years. I never did a huge deep dive on it, obviously. This is the decode. But come on, they put it right in front of your face. Look at the name of the damn pay-per-view and the name of the character in the main event, even versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's got the skull logo, right? Stone Cold. You do get one eye symbolism with that picture, even. You do your own research. If you're into anything like this, you've heard about that. It's not necessarily my thing to go over all like the symbolism like that, because it's that it's kind of basic, but it is there. And I'm not going to get into all of the meaning and all of that, or it's a part of a certain secret society, because I don't even know if these secret societies are real at this point, or if everything just connects by the language and the numbers, and they just tell you that, oh, secret society, blah, blah, blah. But there is a Skull and Bones supposed secret society. I'm not a fly in on the wall in any of those secret meetings, right? But Skull and Bones, Stone Cold Steve Austin with the Skull logo. Interesting, right? And what do you know? Owen Hart first appeared as the masked superhero, the Blue Blazer, in the WWF in August '88, initially as the Blue Angel. Before the name was quickly changed, the gimmick was created to highlight his high-flying wrestling style and avoid promoting him as simply Bret Hart's younger brother. He later returned as the Blue Blazer in '98 for a different, more heel-oriented storyline due to the Attitude Era, and then he falls and dies in '99. Look at Blue Blazer. Wow. What are the Is it a coincidence? Blue Blazer 104 and 41 like Owen Hart in the same ciphers. Straight up numerology with reduction. It's like that reverse reduction, but it's just straight up with the alphabet going forward. J, the 10th letter, 1 plus 0 is 1. Obviously, the first 9 letters are already reduced. J, the 10th letter, 1 plus 0 is 1. K, the 11th, 1 plus 1 is 2. Add up the single digits. Blue Blazer, Owen Hart, 41. And, A is 1, Z is 26. 26 letters in the alphabet with ordinal. Blue Blazer and Owen Hart, 104. So you get that 104 and 41. That 41 might actually, a lot of these numbers that you see here may connect to some of these like secret societies and stuff I mentioned as well. I can't quite remember. 41 may be one of them, but don't quote me on that. As a decoder, like, you're trying to present this information, and obviously there's a lot of connections here, right? But you can't deny that 104 and that 41, Blue Blazer and Owen Hart. That's a fact, and that's something that is not going to change, okay? So, that's not my opinion right there. And just a little bit extra here. You could see Vince McMahon's birthday, the 24th day of the 8th month. Just imagine if it was the 23rd day of the 8th month, which is just one day before 238. And you see Owen Hart's birthday left 238. Right? And I believe that's his birthday that year before he died. He dies right before his birthday, or right after his birthday, by the way. I forget to mention that. Right? He dies May 23rd. So that's 18 days. He dies 18 days after his birthday. I mean, what do you think about that? Right? Did I get that right? 7 plus 17 is 24. Oh, he dies 16 days after his birthday. So I want to go ahead and play this right here. I'm going to play this footage again. So he dies 16 days. Get to that footage in a minute. So he dies 16 days after his birthday. Wrestling equals 116, like 16. And if you do a lot of wrestling decodes, the 16 pops up a lot. It was on 1-6 I remember when the WWE like debuted on Netflix on 1/6, and I remember doing a decode because Hulk Hogan was a part of that, and there was a lot of 1/6s there, and it's actually a 17-day span from his birthday to his death date. Owen Hart. Okay, and kill equals 17. Sacrifice equals 170, like 17.
I have
So I may just play kind of bits and pieces of this. Obviously, I played the audio of this earlier. I guess they did like a series, like maybe a documentary on this.
Was whether or not the show goes on. The live audience didn't really see what happened.
And there's a lot of like disgusting gimmicks during the Attitude Era. They had like Val Venus, the porn star. It was entertaining, but they had the show go on. You see Val Venus right here. They continue the show. I guess it would be someone's personal opinion on what they think about that. There's the Dead Man, the Undertaker. You got The Rock. Maybe a bunch of people interfered. It might have been like a chaotic match. But according to Google, you see Shane McMahon there. And according to Google, Vince was a ref too. They say it was all chaotic. I don't know who that guy is. There's Brett.
Ceiling, and he McMahon from the ceiling. I think if Vince McMahon had dropped Shane McMahon from the ceiling, and he splatted on the mat, I don't think he would have scraped him off the mat and sent the next match out.
Ouch.
Not just my son. It had been me who was splattered on the mat, as Brett said.
Okay. Wow, huh? Okay, so I just wanted to do a quick decode on that. I'm not gonna invest like hours and hours and hours and hours into this stuff. It's a passion of mine, but actually, you could add up. It does equal out to a lot of time, but it is a passion and a hobby. But on each individual breakdown, I will not go hours and hours and hours. Like I would have to be compensated at that point, because the show must go on as that show did, huh? Over the Edge, Owen Hart. So I hope you enjoyed, even though, you get tragedies with these characters. You gotta separate any kind of emotions because these are just characters. Obviously death is a part of life. Pro wrestling obviously scripted. So we don't know all the details of what goes on here, right? We just got to stay open-minded. Got to stay open-minded to a lot of this stuff, especially when looking and watching at a lot of tragic news and things of that nature. You get a lot of these deaths, obviously, as I mentioned. So that's the Owen Hart death decode right there. Quick and easy. If anything to add, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Obviously there's more. That's about as far down the rabbit hole as I'm going to go, as I said. So until next time.